What's going on, everybody? What is going on? Good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Lakers, a little 1-0 lead in the series. How about that? I don't think many people thought what took place on Saturday night was going to be the case after game one, but Lakers grabbed game one. Of course, unfortunately, a lot of the stars are out of this series now, at least to start the series. We'll see what happens as it all progresses. Got a lot to get into today. Obviously got a lot around the Lakers and around the NBA, so I'm looking forward to spending a good chunk of this show today just talking about game one and then game two coming up tomorrow. We'll have a couple announcements that I'll hit on here as we go through the show. So thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Cheers to you and whatever you're drinking on this fine morning. And I appreciate you guys can be getting your content from a ton of different places. I appreciate you guys coming here to Hoops Talk and making sure you get your Lakers content from me. Thank you very much for doing that. All right, let's give everyone a quick rundown what we got going on for the show. Hopefully everybody had a nice weekend. Pretty packed show. I don't have a guest, but I just got a lot to get into. So based off of all that, I'll try to get through this rundown here a little quick. I'll start taking a look at all the comments and we'll get the show started. So Lakers grab game one. In very impressive fashion as well. Like for me, there's a few things that I still want to hit on that I definitely think there's some angles on in regards to watching the Lakers on Saturday night. It's not just getting the win, but it's how they got it. All of a sudden, they build some momentum. All of a sudden, you got guys like Charles Barkley giving compliments to the Los Angeles Lakers. That's all. That's all. Nobody asked for anything else. Just, give credit where credit's due. Be objective if you're doing your job. Here I am trying to give Charles Barkley some tips. But certainly Lakers grabbing game one, there's still a lot of storylines to take from it. And I think the bigger question now is there a way they can go up 2-0 against the Houston Rockets? Is there a way that the Rockets find themselves in some real trouble? We'll get into that. Role players step up. Can you rely on Luke Kennard and DeAndre Ayton and Rui Hachimura and Marcus Smart and Jake LaRavia? Can you rely on these guys for a few games, a few wins this first round series against the Houston Rockets? If you can, maybe you find yourself in a pretty unique position where you can be up 2-0 or 2-1, where people can be looking at the sidelines and say, hey, I wonder when Luka's coming back. So we'll talk a little bit about the role players. I think something that maybe didn't get enough love coming out of the first game on Saturday, I thought I'm going to try to give some consideration to what JJ Redick. I thought he outcoached Ime Udoka. I want to spend some time on that. I thought some of the moves that the Lakers made in the offseason, made at the trade deadline, kind of highlighted some stuff for Rob Pelinka. I thought game one made Rob Pelinka look good. So we'll mention those two individuals, obviously somebody from the front office and somebody from a head coaching perspective. There is an update on Kevin Durant. I don't know if most of you guys saw this yesterday, but I was reading some articles. There's some optimism that he's able to go in game two. We'll wait on that. And once we get to that topic, I think that will be a little bit more from a Rockets perspective. I'm just not impressed with the Houston Rockets. I wasn't impressed in the regular season, especially those two games they played against the Lakers. Nothing happened on Saturday that makes me impressed about who they are as a team and how they operate. But obviously without Kevin Durant, they're a completely different team. And the question is going to be, is KD going to be available for them tomorrow for game two? And if he's not, I know this is going to sound a little bit crazy, but I'm going to go back to why can't the Lakers win the first two games if Kevin Durant isn't there? We'll look at some of the round one games that went on over the weekend. That will also be part of our weekend recap. A couple things around the NBA we'll hit on, and then the NBA awards. We know what players are now involved, MVP, this, that. So we'll get into all that stuff. Nothing for Luka, nothing for JJ Redick. So something to keep in mind in regards to all that. All right, we'll take a look at a few of the comments here. Let everybody keep rolling into the show this morning and go from there. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see what we have here. Coffee time, my friend. Hey, cheers to you, brother. Cheers to you. Cheers to you. I'm all in on as much coffee as possible. What is tomorrow? Tomorrow's a 7:30 tip-off. Tomorrow is going to be like probably a 3-cup coffee day, maybe a little bit too much. All right, let's get see some more here. Şengün, most overrated player in the NBA. I'll tell you what, of all the big men that were on that floor for game one, the best player on the floor was no question about it. Big men was DeAndre Ayton. So I'm with you on the Şengün. I thought Şengün would operate, and I thought he would get his 22 and 12 and kind of call it a day. And then when they announced Kevin Durant wasn't there, I'm like, okay, he's going to have even a bigger game, and he was a non-factor. I think KD staying out was strategy. Not also is he more rested, but they now have game one footage to counteract against in the next game. I know sometimes we want to get cute and everything else. There's no strategy there. If KD could have gone, he'd have played. He got injured on a Wednesday. The game was on a Saturday. If it bothered him that much, then obviously he wasn't able to go. I know he was out warming up, practicing. I didn't see him warming up. I was at the game, but I wasn't out I wasn't out around the where the guys were warming up at that time. But I don't think there's any game strategy here. I think if you're able to go, you go. There's nothing to be cute about. The Houston Rockets are just trying to get to the second round. They got a better chance of getting to the second round if KD's there. Slee, you know what I said about Lakers being up 2-0? I also said we need to focus on the available players. Well, I'll give you some credit then, brother, because I think a lot of people. Let's get the show started. So thank you very much for being here. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind, and we'll get the show started. I think once we saw that, this is kind of a couple of the things that stood out to me. Once the announcement was made that KD wasn't playing, it was like, all right, I don't know if the Lakers are going to get this type of an opportunity to steal a game. Maybe KD's back the rest of the series. Maybe Luka and AR don't play. Like, there's still obviously a big disadvantage without Luka and AR there. But if Kevin Durant's not going in game one, you're here at Crypto. You got the crowd behind you. There's nothing to be discouraged about yet because the series just started. So if you've put yourself in a position where you have a huge advantage if Kevin Durant is not there, you got to take game one. Because if you don't take game one and then KD comes back game two, it could just kind of snowball effect here. And I know for me, one of the things that I've mentioned this a couple of times, the biggest thing that I've always paid attention to was how long can the Lakers just extend this series? That to me was always the most important thing. Can you just extend the series? And so far, by just grabbing game one, they've put themselves in okay, maybe the series can get interesting. They put themselves in an interesting position based off of that. So Lakers grabbing game one, I don't think anybody's going to sympathize with the Laker injuries. And I'm sure there's a lot of Lakers out there. It's like, look, we can't sympathize with your injuries as well. In a perfect world, Luka was playing, AR was playing, KD was playing, all these guys were playing. But that's not the case. Lakers grabbing game one was incredibly significant, in my opinion. And we'll talk about what the role players did and some of these other guys that stepped up. And can you rely on these guys to do it again for game two? We'll do all that in a second. But I just think conceptually, if you're trying to prolong the series as long as you can, you now know you're guaranteed 5 games. Based on how the Rockets play and based on, I think they don't have, nothing is smooth with the Houston Rockets. I think you're kind of guaranteed 6 games, as in, I got to imagine Lakers got one other game under their belt here. Obviously minimum. Again, all I'm saying here is you just want to extend the series as long as possible. And the longer you extend it, you could at least look at the sidelines and say, I wonder if Luka is going to be able to go at any point this series. But let's take that out of the mix right now because we don't know what's going to happen. Saturday night was very impressive. Might have been ugly, maybe too many turnovers, maybe too many offensive rebounds. Certainly times where it looked like a slugfest, but that's okay. Doesn't matter how you get the win. Just find a way to get the win. And you don't have to worry about the second round. You have to worry about the Thunder. You don't have to worry about all these other teams. Just your goal on Saturday night was, can we take advantage of KD being out and go up 1-0? So if it was predominantly a star and some role players, and maybe a star and some role players for the Houston Rockets. Lakers clearly jive better than the Houston Rockets from that perspective. Something real quick about the role players, which I think will take a decent amount of our chat up, at least in the beginning of the show, but something that I thought was significant and was important. The Lakers are only going to be able to win games if role players step up. That's it. I know a lot of people are saying that, can LeBron carry this, and can LeBron do this, and can LeBron? Yeah, okay, I get it. Yes, LeBron he's still incredible, still making it happen, still a star in the NBA. The Lakers aren't going anywhere unless they get their role players to step up. So for me, I think my biggest takeaway in game one, and I don't think it's even close, but my biggest takeaway in game one was just the mere fact that there were role players that were ready to go and that just had phenomenal performances. I mean, Luke Kennard, I saw this stat. This one's a little bit wild to me. I'm going to try to find it here on the fly. So Luke Kennard, 27 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. That's his first playoff game for the Lakers. Gabe Vincent played 10 playoff games over 2 seasons for the Lakers. Remember, they were out in 5 against Denver. They were out in 5 against Minnesota. Gabe Vincent was there for every one of those games. Gabe Vincent, in those 10 games played, those 10 playoff games, scored a total of 21 points. Luke Kennard, in 1 game, scored 27. So did I think Luke Kennard was going to do what he did? No. Do I know Luke Kennard's dangerous from the perimeter? Much better player getting to the basket than I thought. Has a lot more in his bag than I thought when the Lakers got him at the deadline. They don't win that game if Luke Kennard wasn't excellent. They don't win that game if Rui Hachimura wasn't excellent. They don't win that game if DeAndre Ayton isn't the best big on the floor on Saturday night. So I think we get caught up. A lot of times we get caught up with the stars. I understand why. It makes a lot of sense to get caught up with the superstars and get caught up with what's this player going to do, what's that player going to do. But really how a lot of playoff games are typically won. They're typically won when role players step up. If your role players are better than an opposing team, we'll try to kind of think of some past Laker teams. I knew what Shaq and Kobe were going to do. I don't know if that's a good example because those were probably the 2 best players in the league at that time, or 2 of the top 5 players in the league at that time. But I knew what Shaq and Kobe were going to do. But the question was, all right, but how's Rick Fox going to do? How's Derek Fisher going to do? How's Robert Horry going to do? How's Devin George going to do? How's Brian Shaw going to do? You kind of go down the list of all these other players. And we know Derek Fisher would hit big shots. Rick Fox would get huge stops on the defensive side. And Robert Horry was, I don't have to explain to you guys Robert Horry and his 7 NBA championships, 7 rings that he has in his resume. So I think the most important thing for me, what was really, really nice to see in game one, the role players actually stepped up. They were good enough in that game to grab a win against the Houston Rockets. And LeBron is going to give you everything that he's got. But if you're relying just on LeBron James, I think we got, bigger issues if that's the case. You cannot rely just on LeBron. And I think that's something to keep in mind. I do want to read some of the comments here in just a second. Before I do so, there's a few things. There's one clip that I want to play. Let me play this one real quick because this one's coming from Derek Fisher following the game. He's talking specifically about LeBron, so I kind of want to lean into this a little bit, but it's going to also tie back into the role players. LeBron, 19 points, 13 assists, and 8 rebounds, couple steals and a block shot. Let's take a listen here. Here is Derek Fisher post-game, and really the point that he's trying to make is LeBron can still carry you to an extent. He's trying to make a comp to Magic Johnson towards the end of his career, and let's take a listen here.
We could say this is his Magic Johnson era right now, though. Yeah. Where, maybe the athleticism has dipped a little, even though he's still finishing a lot of plays above the rim. But to be able to go out in, 19 points, 13 assists, 9 rebounds, understanding first quarter, I'm going to get everybody involved. I'm going to get us out on the break. I'm going to get my shooters some rhythm. And then finding pockets where, I'm going to score. I'm going to hit you with a little jump hook. I'm going to hit you with a mid-post turnaround jumper. To me, watching Magic and watching you guys, the way he can just manipulate and control the game without necessarily being the fastest or the most athletic. It's not a downgrade to say that at this stage in LeBron's journey, it could be like a Magic Johnson era where you can still win championships like him leading the charge.
All right, so there's a couple things I'll take from that. So listen, some of you guys are probably too young to look back and the comp that he's trying to make here. Magic towards the end of his career, it's really when I started watching Lakers basketball. Magic was my favorite player growing up. Loved Magic. Towards the end of his career, Magic wasn't the exact same Magic Johnson. He still led the Lakers to the NBA Finals where they lost to Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. But at that stage of his career, he could still control a game, even without Kareem. I think the point that Derek Fisher is trying to make is, no, LeBron can't go out there and be Nikola Jokic. Maybe some nights he can, but he can't be the best player in the world, but he can still control a game. And I think, the tie it back into the role players here for a quick second. The one thing I'll take away, there was a moment in Saturday night's game. In the first half, he was already double-digit assists, already had 10 dimes for the Lakers, already had 10 assists. Now, we were doing the show on Friday, and I mentioned if I'm the Houston Rockets, the last thing I want LeBron facilitating, because the only way the Lakers are going to win a game, this is before we found out KD was going to be out, so obviously that changed the entire perspective. But the only way that we know that the only way I think the Lakers can beat the Rockets is if there is a balance of 5-6 guys scoring in double figures, that if LeBron does set the table for everybody else. He had 10 assists in the first half. So by the time you got to halftime, there were guys on this Lakers team that were already feeling good about themselves. DeAndre Ayton was feeling good about himself. Rui was feeling good about himself. Clearly, Luke Kennard was feeling good about himself. And all LeBron was trying to do was, let me set the table up for all these guys. Now, if these guys were missing their shots and they were struggling, then maybe you're going to get a much different result. But they weren't struggling. And I did think LeBron controlled the game with the role players. And I love the comp of, like, this is somebody towards the end of his career that can still control the game, but he just controls it differently. 10 assists and 10 dimes from LeBron in that first half kind of set the table for the Lakers, and they were able to hold on. I know it was only a 2-point game at halftime, but Lakers basically had the lead the entire time. So obviously very, very impressive from that perspective. And I thought that clip from Derek Fisher was an interesting clip. Interesting perspective from him to come on. All right, let's I want to start taking a look at some of the comments. Before we do so, of course, we're going to give some love to some of our partners here. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. I know he's in the house tomorrow for game 2 of the Lakers and the Rockets. If you need an injury attorney, if you need to be represented by the best in the business, if you need somebody, by the way, also, if you're in the state of California, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you do go to that website, just something to keep in mind, you get an absolutely free consultation. Fill it out. Let somebody from their team help you. Again, a serious injury, a wrongful death case. I hope nobody ever needs Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm, but if you do, he can help you. He can help at least guide you in the right direction. If he's not going to personally help you, he's going to put you in touch with an attorney that can, a specialist that can. Regardless, the first step is wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you go to that website, then they will most certainly be able to point you in the right direction. Again, shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm for being a part of the show and being a phenomenal partner. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here as we get the show rolling. I know we got some supers here that I'm going to get into. Don't feel obligated to send a super, but if you do, I'm definitely going to be reading it. If Luka comes back taking 30 shots, that's trash. Interesting take there. Interesting take. Let me ask you this question. By the way, this could be very helpful for Luka. Maybe Luka right now is watching this team, watching their performance early on. Maybe there's a piece of Luka Doncic that's saying, okay, hey, you know what? I didn't know Luke Kennard had this in his bag. I didn't know Rui could be this effective if he gets a few more shots. Maybe I should pay attention to more to DeAndre Ayton. I don't care if Luka takes 30 shots or he takes 15 shots, whatever it takes to win. Whatever it takes to win. And listen, there's going to be, if you end up winning this series, you didn't win this series because of one individual player. And you will not have won the series because of Luka Doncic because we're imagining Luka's not going to come till later in the series, if he even comes back. So it's not going to be Luka. If you're going to put up any fight in that second round against the Oklahoma City Thunder, you're not doing it with one guy trying to take 30 shots. You fall right into the trap of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they'll demolish you. They'll win in 4 or 5 games if that's the case. I don't know what's going to happen, but let's cross that bridge when we get there. And it would be phenomenal to get to a position where we can say that Luka is back, and whether he had 30 shots or he had less shots, but that's a good issue to have. The Lakers got a long way before we're able to have that conversation. Reluctant slow for LeBron and the Lakers. Yeah, I'll tell you this, and John, thank you for the super. I will continue to just kind of go back to, at this stage for the Lakers, it does not matter how they get a W in the playoffs. If you're missing Luka and AR, incredible to get a win. And if Kevin Durant just happened to be out and there was some bad luck, something happened on Wednesday, they can't control that. There's nothing the Lakers can do. And by the way, the Rockets are not going to sympathize with the Laker injuries because they have their own injuries too. They can say Steven Adams and Fred VanVleet. And the Lakers can't sympathize with the Rockets because they're going to say, yeah, we got Luka and AR out. At this stage of the season, not a lot of people are sympathizing with each other when it comes to injuries. So slow start, whether they look good, whether they didn't look good, I'm telling you, all of that, in my opinion, just doesn't even matter. However you can get a win, you get a win. And they were able to do that on Saturday. Give them a lot of credit for that. Ahmed Thompson going to remember to drive and Alpi remember to post up. Yeah, I want to talk Rockets, but I'm going to save some of my thoughts on the Rockets. I don't understand that team. I don't think Ime Udoka's got, at least in the games that I've seen. I mean, I know Houston went on a really good run to end the season, but every time I watch the Rockets, I'm like, they look disorganized. They don't really look like they have a quarterback because they don't. You run a couple different defenses on them. They look like they're flustered. They're not really sure what to do. And I don't know if I understood what their game plan was against the Lakers. I'll give the Lakers a lot of credit on defense, but I do know that they shot 38% from the field and 33% from the three-point line. How much of that is on the Lakers? How much is that on the Rockets? I mean, that's up to you to figure out, but certainly, they struggled. Okay, let's keep going here. We'll win tomorrow. Slee will drop 8 for 8 from the three-point line. It will be up to, you basically took the words right out of my mouth. If you didn't say it, I was going to say it. Let's get some more in here. Here we go with the glazing. That win was not impressive. It was basically LeBron versus Şengün. Go back to it. You guys can disagree with this. Anytime that you have Luka and AR that are out in a game, that's an impressive win. Anytime. There's no other way to put it. Like, there's anytime you can get a win, and I don't care what's happening on the other end. I mean, if they want to, obviously, if Kevin Durant is out, I still think the Houston Rockets have enough there with Luka and AR. Anytime you have anybody out, if Luka and AR are out and you get a W, that's impressive. All right, let's get a couple more of these in, and we'll keep the show going. And I got a couple things that I want to hit on here real quick on JJ Redick and Rob Pelinka. So let me first just mention JJ Redick. One of the frustrations coming into the playoffs was, if the Lakers are injured, then how are we going to see if JJ Redick has learned from some of his mistakes and he's ready to go? He's better prepared for the postseason this year. Same thing for Austin Reeves. How am I supposed to know that Austin Reeves can change his narrative and prove to everybody, no, I can perform in the playoffs? Maybe I didn't have the best playoff rounds last year. The year before I wasn't excellent, but I can make it happen, and I will make it happen. Well, as of right now, we're not going to see that for Austin Reeves, but at least for a quick second here, we get to see part of JJ Redick. Now we'll see if Houston's healthy come tomorrow, and if the Rockets just start winning games, then maybe everything changes. But watching JJ on Saturday against the Rockets, and watching Ime Udoka versus JJ Redick and kind of watching these two guys go up against each other from a coaching perspective. I've always thought Ime Udoka is a really, really good coach. He was really good in Boston. Obviously, in Houston, he's trying to make some noise. And the Rockets, let's there's nothing to sugarcoat here. The Rockets clearly on the have some real injuries. But I did think that watching on Saturday, I feel like every time I've seen JJ Redick versus Ime Udoka, that's 3 times in the last month we've seen them. Twice in Houston, probably mid-March or so. Lakers were starting that 6-game road trip. And then this game here on Saturday. JJ Redick's looked like the better coach. He just looked like the better coach. Strategy-wise, adjustments. Let me show you one look on defense. Let me show you a different look on defense. Let me blitz Şengün. Let me allow Amen Thompson get to the basket, but I'm just throwing another defender out there, and I'm just going to have guys put my hands up. Try not to foul. Take out a Reed Shepherd so he can't really facilitate and be the point guard that they desperately need. I think JJ Redick has done a better job in these 3 games that they've played against the Houston Rockets. And the Ime Udoka, JJ Redick, those two mano a mano from a coaching perspective, tell me where I'm wrong when I say that JJ Redick has looked like the better coach. It's 1 game. We're 1 game in. But I am also looking to those last 2 games. And maybe for the Houston Rockets, them announcing, and it was a game time decision that Kevin Durant, we're not sure if he's going to play. We're not going to. He's questionable. This, that, and then hour and a half before tip off, they make the decision that he's not going to play. Maybe that caused some. They're completely lost from that perspective of how they're going to win without KD. I get that. I understand that. KD obviously such a major piece, but Lakers have plenty of players that are out as well. The Ime Udoka piece for me, and the Houston Rockets piece. I thought the Lakers looked more organized. I thought they were more connected on offense. I thought they were more connected on defense. I felt like they were a step ahead of the Houston Rockets. Again, I know one squad shot awful, the other squad shot great, but I think the Lakers have something to do with that. Kennard was getting good looks. Rui was getting good looks. Ayton was getting good looks. I thought a lot of the shots that the Rockets were taking were forced shots, tough shots, trying to just almost throw it off the glass and see if they can get an offensive rebound because that's their game, and that's a big part of their game. Between Ime Udoka and JJ Redick, at least in these last 3 matchups where these coaches have gone head-to-head against each other, I think JJ has been the more superior coach. And I don't think I'd be saying that 3 months ago, 4 months ago, whatever the case is. It's 1 game in the playoffs, but I do think there's a lot of eyes on JJ Redick, and I thought he was impressive in this. I thought he was impressive so far in this series. So that's again, it's 1 freaking game. Nobody wants to make too much of it, but I do think there's a magnifying glass on JJ Redick that every single thing that he does, for the Lakers right now, especially in the playoffs, people are going to say, yeah, but you saw JJ last year. He was out in 5 games. Yeah, you saw JJ make critical mistakes last season against the Minnesota Timberwolves. You're right. I think he did. I thought Chris Finch ran circles around him. But can you take some stuff from last year's playoffs and learn from it and apply it to this year playoffs and kind of see where you go? And I think the Lakers did a little bit of that in game 1, and I thought JJ Redick did as well. All right, we'll take a look at some more of these comments. JJ has the better tools. Rockets offense and spacing is horrid. Yeah, there's something about Houston, and every time that I feel like I've watched them, nothing is smooth. Nothing. I mentioned it during the postgame show on Saturday. I was in the tunnelway, and I'm walking, whether I'm on the court trying to take some video or just kind of see who's warming up, or I go to the back to go where the media room is. A lot of times there's players that will walk by you. And in my case, Fred VanVleet walked by me, and I'm like, damn, this team, they'd be a lot different if they had Fred VanVleet. So I get that they're missing some critical pieces to kind of orchestrate their offense and everything else, but they went through a whole season without him. And they look kind of still like the same team that we've kind of watched all year. Their spacing is awful. It seems like guys are always kind of running into each other's spot. There's a lot of ISO ball. That ball's not moving fluidly. Yeah, they're all over the place. All right, let's get some more in here. Um, the Rockets never addressed. Absolutely. I think that one's an easy one to point out. I agree with you. AD is a great player, but he's not a great leader. That's why the Rockets have had bad chemistry, which manifests in their inability to win close games. You might be right about that as well. I know the chemistry and the burner accounts and all that stuff has kind of gone on as well with the Rockets. They always seem to be a little bit disconnected, is the right way to put it. It's probably a good way to put that. Let's play something here because since we're talking about the Houston Rockets, I want to play one more piece of sound here that I think is definitely tells a little bit of the Rocket story. Charles Barkley, who I think a lot of Laker fans, I've told you guys this before. I don't care if Charles Barkley has something critical to say about the Lakers. It's all good. It doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. I as long as it's accurate and it's objective and he's giving credit where credit's due, and then he's obviously, when he's being critical, just be critical because it's the right thing to do. Take a listen to Charles Barkley, where he's making a case about the Lakers, but really what he's trying to say as we kind of continue this Rockets conversation is, I think the biggest thing that he's trying to take away from is the Rockets could be in a little bit of a dangerous spot, specifically because of some confidence that could be building for the Lakers. Take a listen.
The Rockets have a problem now, though. The Lakers think they can win this series now, because I don't think the Lakers thought they could win this series. Now, Luke Kennard got confidence. DeAndre Ayton got confidence. LeBron's always going to have confidence. Now, all they got to do is they screw around and win game 2. Now Houston's in serious trouble. But I thought this was a great opportunity for the Rockets and the thing the Rockets did, Ernie, that really messed up. You never thought they were going to win that game. They didn't expend a lot of energy, the Lakers. They didn't make LeBron tire himself out because, at his age, these games going to come quicker.
Yeah, Rocket shot.
The Rockets
All right. The main thing I take away from Barkley in that quote, the Lakers now think they can win this series. By the way, I agree with you. And I think there was kind of a feel-out game for all of these series. There's always a feel-out game. And it's weird with this Lakers-Rockets. I kind of have a good idea what to expect with San Antonio and Portland. I have a good idea what to expect with Denver, Minnesota. I don't really think there's going to be too many surprises. We kind of have an idea what to expect. But for all these series, it takes a game to get a look and a feel of what it might look like, or what it might look like. After game 1, of course, there's this feeling now all of a sudden. It's like, hey, I think we could hang with these guys. Even without Luka and AR, I think we can hang with these guys. Doesn't mean they're going to win the series. Doesn't mean they're going to, win game 2 if Kevin Durant's back. But I think there's a little bit of a feeling I think we can just hang with these guys. And the longer they're able to hang with, Houston and make this a series, obviously some good things can happen for the Lake Show. But the piece that Barkley said right there, Luke Kennard's got confidence. Ayton's got confidence. They got confidence for one game. That will kind of ride into game 2. Crypto is going to be rocking tomorrow. Why shouldn't it be? It's a playoff game, and the Lakers took game 1. Maybe it is some dangerous territory for the Houston Rockets. And again, I would be shocked, as many people would, if you told me before the series started, Lakers are up 2-0. They're in a position tomorrow to go up 2-0. Whether that happens or not, we'll have to wait and see. But they've at least put themselves in that type of position. So something to keep in mind here. Okay, I want to talk Pelinka here in just a second. We do have a KD update, and then I'm going to spend a lot of times, obviously, still reading the comments. And a lot of playoff games over the weekend, obviously, right? So Saturday and Sunday, we had a lot of playoff games, and certainly a lot to react to from there. Before we do so, shout out to Harrah's Resort SoCal. So if you're out here in Southern California and you're looking for a staycation, between 1 to 2 hours of wherever you are in Southern California, you can be in LA, Orange County, or San Diego. You can be driving down to 15 or up to 15. Harrah's Resort SoCal is located in North San Diego. Beautiful resort. Had a friend of mine that stayed there recently and was just complimenting the service that they got there. The restaurants were great. Took his family out there. Really, really beautiful property. And I just encourage anybody, if you're looking for a staycation, give Harrah's SoCal an opportunity. Go to harrahssocal.com. Go to that website. You could start looking. All right, you know what? There's comedians that are out there all the time. There's musicians that are out there all the time. certainly from an entertainment perspective, you got it. You got yourself covered. But the resort is beautiful. The lazy river for the pool and the family and kids and everything else. They do have a swim-up bar for the adults. Hell's Kitchen, which is their restaurant. They got so much different stuff there. Go to the website. You could start working on your next getaway at harrissocal.com. Again, the website, harrissocal.com. Shout out to them for being a partner here with us and obviously being a part of our iHeartRadio network and AM 570 partnership. Okay, let's look at some comments here before I get to Pelinka, and we'll keep hitting on the Houston Rockets stuff as well. There's nothing fluid about the Rockets. Honestly, there's nothing fluid. Everything seems so forced with the Houston Rockets. Nothing seems easy. And I thought that was the same even when KD was there. So obviously it goes to a different level now if KD's not there. Let's get another one here. Thank you for the super. Slee, media now saying LeBron playing like magic. He always has passing the ball and getting everyone involved. What's your take? I don't think I've always said that the closest comp to when people want to compare LeBron to Michael Jordan, I'm like, you're comparing the wrong two players. LeBron and Magic are the closest two comps. Kobe and Jordan are the closest two comps. Stylistically, these guys are different. Their body types are different, so it's completely different. But the point Derek Fisher was trying to make, not that LeBron plays like Magic, but towards the end of Magic's career, he wasn't the same Magic Johnson early in that Showtime era where they won 5 NBA championships. But he can still control a game and get you to the NBA Finals. That's the point that he was trying to make. Now, listen, if Luka's around, then LeBron is obviously playing a different role, but LeBron's still playing an excellent role and a critical role for the Lakers, even at this stage of his career. So, there's some things to keep in mind in regards to that. Luka and AR should stay out until either game 5 or second round. Yeah, every time I hear people talking about, when these players should come back, I'm always going to go back to one thing here real quick. If Luka, let me just throw as an example. Let's say Lakers are up 2-1 or down 2-1. It doesn't matter the scenario. 3 games in, and game 4 is coming, and Luka Doncic is cleared to play. Just making it up, right? Just let's make it up. He's cleared to play, and he's good to go, and nobody thinks he's going to have any issues. Then why would you wait till game 5? Or why would you wait till the second round? I don't think Luka steps on that floor unless he's been cleared by his medical staff, the Lakers medical staff. I'm sure his agent's going to get involved. Other people are going to get involved, and Luka's going to say, I'm good to go. I think they're going to have to go through 3-4 hurdles of different people and different medical staff to say Luka's good to go. If he's good to go game 4, why don't you just bring him back game 4? If he's good to go game 5, why don't you just bring him back game 5? If he's good to go game 6, or if he's good to go round 2, I think as much as we want to time things, isn't it just going to come down to, hey, he's ready to play, so just let him play? And I could say it also the opposite way. If he's not ready at any point of round 1, and the Lakers are out after round 1, then that's it. Then you call it a day. Luka will come back next season. Obviously, ownership groups got a lot of changes that they're going to try to make in the offseason and try to build off of truly building around Luka Doncic. Maybe that's with LeBron. Maybe it's the point that I'm trying to make is nobody needs to predict anything for Luka or AR. Luka seeming like he would be the one that comes back before AR. Nobody's got to predict anything. If they're healthy and they're ready to go, bring them back. If they're not, then you just can't bring them back. So I think that one is kind of easier, in my opinion, to assess. They're always like that. Rockets had no reliable outside shooting. Even when KD comes back, he is getting doubled at half court every time. There's no flow. There's nothing. And again, I'm gonna go back to it, what I said earlier. I felt like the Lakers can make adjustments, and I don't know if the Rockets have the ability to counter what those adjustments are. Rockets, a 5th seed, lost the road game while Orlando walked into Detroit and beat the number 1 seed in the East, but the Rockets are trash, LOL. I don't think anybody's trying to say that the Rockets are trash. What I'm trying to tell you is they're beatable. That's all I'm trying to tell you, is that of all these teams, let's put it this way. If the Lakers got Minnesota in the first round, would you feel better about playing the Timberwolves or the Rockets in the first round based on all the injuries? I think if the Lakers are healthy, they're beating both of these teams, but I think Minnesota would have been more of a challenge. So, not the Rockets are trash. I'm not trying to make a case that the Rockets are trash, but what I'm telling you is of these top 5, 6 teams in the Western Conference, I want the Rockets more than any of these other teams. That's all. I mean, that would be more my point than anything else. Rockets fold under pressure. This Rockets team does at least. All right, let's get one more superhero, and I want to talk Pelinka for a second. LeBron is teaching Luka how to win with this team. I think the main lesson LeBron can give Luka and gave Luka was you got to take care of your body. And he did this season, right? The biggest issue I thought with Luka was the man didn't look in shape. So as good as he was, if he wants to take his game to another level, because he's as skilled as any player offensively that I've ever seen, but he could look at LeBron and say, this guy is freaking chiseled at age 41. And here I am at 26, 25, 27, whatever. And I look like I'm out of shape yet. I'm in the NBA. I thank you for the super brother. Thank you. All right, let's keep moving here. I told you guys today's going to be a packed show. Trying to fill all this content into an hour. Tomorrow, by the way, I'm going to have some trial and error. I just want you guys to know over the next couple of days. So tomorrow I'm doing a show, 8 a.m. But for the first time, really since I left ESPN, first time I'll be doing a 1-hour radio show in about a year and a half, at least in LA, right? Obviously, I do some stuff in San Diego. I've come on 570 a bunch of times, but those are usually just call-ins. Tomorrow at 8 a.m., we're doing this show live on radio. Now, I still got some technical things that I got to figure out so that everything is jiving while I'm doing the radio show. You guys are obviously able to watch it on YouTube and listen as well. But tomorrow and Wednesday, live on 570 from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. You know what's cool about that story, too? I'll share with you guys here real quick. Kind of all stems from this channel, right? Like, I kind of don't get a lot of the opportunities that I've got if it's not for this channel. So shout out to all you guys. Tomorrow we'll be doing a radio show live in Los Angeles, AM 570, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Talking Lakers basketball. Be able to take calls from people as well. It's going to be cool. It's going to be a really cool program for the channel and for the show. And so shout out to everybody here because you guys got a lot to do with that. Let's talk Rob Pelinka here real quick. So I wanted to kind of go out of my way a little bit and highlight JJ Redick because I thought Redick was excellent in game one. I thought he was a better head coach than Ime Udoka. I do. That's what I thought. Can that all change in game two? Sure. But there was no pouting. There was no complaining. Guys weren't whining that, Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic are out. There was no woe me, any of that stuff. So I wanted to give him the proper credit, and I think we did. Watching the game on Saturday, and I was prepping a little bit this morning. Eric, who you guys know is my producer, and I think he highlighted a couple things to me that kind of elevated this conversation to another level. Watching game one of the postseason. Guys, I know Lakers are obviously not going to be favorites to win an NBA championship, so I don't want to make too big of a deal about it, but I'll just give you my observation after game one. Here's what I saw. I saw a head coach that it feels like is going to be a head coach in the NBA for a number of years. I saw Luke Kennard, who came at the trade deadline for Gabe Vincent and a second rounder, drop 27 points. I saw DeAndre Ayton give you 19 and 11, and the Lakers are paying, peanuts to what the Portland Trailblazers are paying that Rob Pelinka was able to get at the trade deadline or at the in the buyout market. I saw Marcus Smart, who's really become just such a critical leader. His shots aren't always going to be perfect. He's not going to be great. He's not going to be Luke Kennard offensively, but you can't question his defense. You can't question his leadership. He's obviously an important player to have. I saw Jake LaRavia on the floor do whatever he can. The Lakers made a decision in the offseason that they're going to go cheaper and they're going to go younger and they're going to get Jake LaRavia and they're going to let Dorian Finney-Smith walk. And I saw Dorian Finney-Smith not get any playing time for the Houston Rockets on Saturday as well. So just keep an eye out on some of these things. Again, there's a lot of expectations that are going to come with president of basketball operations for the Lakers. And there's going to be a lot of expectations that are going to come with the new ownership group of putting together the best front office in the NBA, or top 5 minimum in the NBA. Because that's the only way you're going to compete in this league, is you have to have one of the best front offices in the NBA. And if Rob Pelinka is the president of basketball operations, a lot's going to fall on his shoulders. I saw a lot of things on Saturday night that had Pelinka's fingerprints on it. You want to give him credit. You don't want to give him credit. That's up to you. Doesn't matter. You want to talk big picture, completely fine. It was just one game in the playoffs. But in that one game, there was a lot of kind of tentacles here that had Rob Pelinka's fingerprints on it. Whether it can continue in game 2, I don't know. I do know that I thought the Lakers did the right thing at the trade deadline by not giving up a lot of assets and kind of saving everything for the summer. So we'll address all that come summer. But Luke Kennard might have been the most underrated pickup at the trade deadline, and that's a move made by Rob Pelinka. Obviously, some of the other players that I mentioned, Dorian Finney-Smith, him walking away, Lakers not giving him a contract. They go in and get Jake LaRavia. Jake LaRavia played all 82 games for the Lakers. He's costing them nothing, $6 million for, I think, $12 million for 2 years, $6 million a year. So that's all. I don't want to make too big of a deal. I'm not trying to make an argument here that Rob Pelinka is the best president of basketball operations in the NBA, but I thought he was responsible at the trade deadline. I thought in the offseason, clearly he was trying to give as much flexibility as possible for this upcoming summer. And if they don't make it happen this upcoming summer, then you guys can, you could say whatever you want about Rob Pelinka. But that was one of the things that I was noticing during the game. And if we're going to be really, really quick to go at the head coach and to go at, role players and to go at Rob Pelinka, then we should also give them credit when they deserve some credit. And I thought they deserved some credit. All right, take a look, couple of comments on the Pelinka front, and then we will look at I got one thing that I want to mention in regards to KD. All right, let's see what we got here. Got some people here saying that don't rush it. They're talking specifically about, it looks like they're talking specifically about Luka. All right, let's see what else we have here. Let's see. Kennard is a great veteran leader. Let's keep going here. Let's see what we have here. Is Luke getting 25 points plus again this series? Here's the one thing I will tell you about Luke Kennard, and the thing that I like about his game. Luke Kennard's not firing up shots. I'm telling you, the biggest frustration that I get from Laker fans and from JJ Redick, listening to him, some of his interviews and everything else, everybody's like, he's not aggressive enough. Doesn't take enough shots. He's not out there. The guy should be taking 7-8 threes a game. He's only taking 3 or 4. So here's the question that you just have here. Does he have 25 plus points again this series? I don't know. But I will tell you, he's going to have 18 to 20. And I think he is going to get the looks. And I think if they were smart enough, if the Rockets were smart enough, there is a little bit of put a defender on Luke Kennard and just don't let him, wherever he goes. I got an eye on Luke Kennard. The problem, I think, with the Houston Rockets is one of the adjustments that the Lakers make is Luke Kennard's constantly moving. Ball is always getting swung. There's an extra pass that gets to Kennard. He pump fakes. Now all of a sudden he's got a decision to make. I could take a wide open 3. I could go to the basket. Somebody's going to overplay me. So Luke Kennard also has a very high IQ when it comes to the game. So I think that part's got a lot to do with it as well. All right, let's get some more in here. When is JJ going to develop his young players' sleeve? He doesn't get coaching credit until he learns that. Yeah, that's okay. I'm all right with that. I still think they need to trade Dalton Connect. I still think the Lakers obviously need to do a much better job of scouting and drafting. I think Adu Thero is going to have I think he can have a bright future. It might not happen this year, but down the road. But I don't disagree with this. I do think some of the teams out there that are having the most success are also cropping a lot of their youth. a lot of their draft picks. I think a lot of teams have success when you do that. Let's get some more in here. Luka shoots too much. Look how LeBron is utilizing his teammates. Nick, thank you for the 10 spot. Very nice of you. LeBron only takes 15 shots last game when he could have easily taken 25 shots. Our defense is better without Luka and Reeves in the lineup. All right, let me say this. Nick, thank you for the super. Let me just take you back here to March real quick. Okay, when the Lakers went 15-2 and they were beating playoff team after playoff team. Do you think anybody was saying the Lakers are better off without Luka Doncic? They're not better off without Luka. Now, if you want to say, hey, I wish Luka got others involved more and there was a little bit more balance on offense, I'm okay with that. And to be completely frank with you, to be honest with you, I think there is, even if Luka comes back, once you start playing playoff teams every single night, you better have a balance. Look how good the Oklahoma City Thunder are, and look how good Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, and look at the balance they have with Chet, with Jalen Williams, with Isaiah Joe, with, go down the list of all the different players that contribute. Look how good the San Antonio Spurs are. De'Aaron Fox is going to get his. Yeah, Wemby's going to get his, but so is Stephon Castle. And, there are other guys that the only shot you have come playoffs, it can't be a one-man show. Can't be a one-man show. You got to have guys have balance. But clearly the Lakers are not better off without Luka. And clearly they're not better off without Austin Reeves. They're not. Even if you just have those guys on the floor, and it's going to make other players' life easier. So I get the overreaction after one game to say, look, the Lakers can do this without this player or that player. LeBron is just smart and understands I can't take 25 shots and we win a game. I need 15 assists. That's how we're going to win a game. So high IQ, obviously, from LeBron, no surprise. But the Luka piece of this, yeah, if they're going to accomplish anything, they need Luka. All right, I want to see. I didn't see any of the Pelinka stuff. Want to see if anybody. Problem is, I got a lot of comments that are just waiting here. Kennard, Ayton, and Rui locked in. Okay, good stuff right there. Okay, so one quick thing here I want to do on the KD thing, and then I got a couple things around the NBA we're going to jump around on. Tomorrow, I'm still kind of working on all the details for tomorrow. I may have a Rockets beat writer that's going to join us. I should just continue with Ryan Hollins, because every time Ryan's come on, the Lakers have won. But no Hollins tomorrow. We'll probably wait a little bit later in the series. But I got some details I'm still waiting on because I'm still trying to coordinate all the radio stuff that I got going on. So let's hold off on me promoting some of that stuff that we got coming on for tomorrow. But real quick on KD, here's the update that I saw on Kevin Durant. And let me find this here real quick. Okay, Sam Amick. Here's what Sam Amick said. Let's see. Let's see. He was. All right, wait. No, that's not the one I want to look at. Trying to see here. Durant, according to several people, are Sam Amick. Let me read this one here, and then there was some news about some potential of him returning for game 2. According to several people who watched his routine, his frustration with the brutality time situation was impossible amidst Durant, who played in 78 games during the regular season. I didn't know Durant played in 78 games and has long had a reputation for being willing to play through a fair amount of pain, was clearly coming to grips with the fact that he'd have to sit this playoff opener out after banging knees with a teammate during practice on Wednesday. Then surely hoping the injury wouldn't linger too long. Observer said he was not moving well during the session. He was ruled out soon after. So a little bit of kind of background of the process. I will tell you, everyone was just kind of stunned when I was there for when Ime Udoka was talking, and everyone was just kind of stunned the moment that they saw the news that he was going to be out. It was like, what? Nobody really thought that was going to be the case. I did read an article this morning, and according to USA Today, KD, from what I've heard, there's a good chance he could return in game 2. There's hope that Kevin Durant can return by game 2, which is on Tuesday night. So that was according to USA Today. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. Could he miss another game and get some more time off and then play on Friday? Or is there a little kind of desperation mode for the Rockets? Are saying, nope, we cannot afford not to have Kevin Durant in this upcoming game. So we'll see what happens in regards to that, and we'll see if there's any more updates tomorrow. By tonight, we'll have, an injury report, and whether that will say questionable, doubtful, probable, whatever the definition will be, we'll get a little bit more information on KD in regards to that. All right. Let's keep rolling here. I got a couple things that I want to hit on here in regards to round one of the playoffs so far. Of course, every time, and you guys know this by this point, every time we come back on either we're going into a weekend or we're coming back from a weekend, we got the weekend recap. It's presented by the Wallace Firm, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. That's the website that you go to. Here's where we are. A lot of games, man. It's kind of overwhelming in this first round. Thunder took care of the Suns, no problem there. Spurs, which game was still close there, in that third quarter, Spurs end up taking over. How about Wemby with 35, 5 rebounds and 2 blocks. Danny Avdija of the Portland Trailblazers ends up with 30 points and 10 rebounds. Kind of fun to watch that series. Kind of a new blood for the Portland Trailblazers. So just seeing that game, the Spurs, obviously a lot of guys that have never played in a playoff game. That was Wemby's first playoff game. He carries the load there. Nuggets beat the Timberwolves in their game one, number 3 versus number 6. They win 116-105. I know the Minnesota Timberwolves weren't crazy about some of the free throw shooting. I'm telling you, Lakers are fortunate to get the Rockets and not the Minnesota Timberwolves. In the Eastern Conference, how about that? Orlando Magic beat the Pistons 112-101. All 5 Magic starters in double figures. Paolo Banchero with 23 points and 9 rebounds. Cade Cunningham had 39. The biggest shock of the weekend, Magic take game 1. So obviously a surprise there. Celtics beat up on the Sixers. I love how the Celtics fans at the end were chanting, "We want Boston," because I guess apparently the Sixers were chanting that. Probably don't want to do that if you're a Sixers fan. Knicks over the Hawks. They now lead 1-0 in their series, 113-102. And then Cavs beat the Raptors 126-113. Something to keep in mind with just the NBA regular season award finalists. Luka's not in the mix. So Shea, Nikola Jokic, and Victor Wembanyama for most valuable player. I get it. I think Luka could have been in the case. Those 3 players are also in the case. Like, I understand it. But it's Shea, Nikola Jokic, and Victor Wembanyama. Coach of the year, JB Bickerstaff, Mitch Johnson, and Joe Mazzulla. Hard to argue that as well. Those 3 coaches definitely much deserving. The Pistons, the Spurs, and the Boston Celtics. The Boston one, you'd say, well, why? Joe Mazzulla, why is he there? It's because Tatum was out, and they still did what they did. Final thing I'm just going to mention here, and I think that, and again, this is just from an NBA news perspective, and of course, weekend recap, we threw all those games into the mix. The final thing I'm just going to mention here is what we got going on tonight. Tonight, you're going to have, and let me just go through some of the games for tonight because it will be a little bit different. You're not going to have as many games, obviously, as you had on Saturday and Sunday. Raptors and the Cavs at 4, Hawks and the Knicks at 5, and Timberwolves and the Nuggets at 7:30. So if you're looking for some NBA basketball this weekend, you got it all. You're chilling, you're relaxing, you get all the games on a Monday night. All right, let's read a couple of the stories. I do got to go right at 9 a.m. this morning, so just a heads up on that. There are no guarantees that DA and Luke will step up every game of this series. At some point, LeBron is going to have to score some 30-plus. Yeah, I would rather just tell you that the chances of them winning a game, they're much better off with obviously being in a position with this balance of DA and with Luke and with Rui and with Marcus Smart, and could Vando get you a little bit, and Jake LaRavia can get you a little bit. They're much better off there. The more you're trying to get one individual player, especially LeBron at this stage of his career, to get you 30-plus, I think that's a tall task. That's a tough one. All right, just a quick reminder here. Back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So the plan is when you see me tomorrow, I'll probably have one of those headsets on, and I will be – actually, no, I'm in the studio tomorrow. I will be doing a radio show from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Probably this first one that I'm going to do, I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of trial and error as I'm doing it live on YouTube and live on radio. But tomorrow at 8 a.m., we'll be doing radio. Tomorrow night, 7:30 tip-off, we'll come back on for a post-game show. Wednesday morning, we're back on for radio. So these next, 48 hours or so, we'll be pumping out Lakers content. Sammy's going to have a preview video later tonight, so keep an eye out for that. Lakers and the Rockets for Game 2. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show today. Thank you very much for everybody. Thank you to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm, Harrah Resort, SoCal. Shout out to all the listeners, all the supers. Thank you, everybody. Please subscribe to the channel. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday, and I will see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.